What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely fantastic day. I know I am, and if you are, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You will actually get stage 3, I don't know, disease. Yeah, that's right. It's like Alzheimer's, but even worse, because even if you know the answer, you have to say, I don't know. It's a very sad disease. Very, very sad. As for how it feels, well, I don't know. Anyways, guys, today I have a little bit of a spooky story that was sent to my DMs on Instagram, so big shout out to that. If you have a crazy story that you want on the channel, just send it to my Instagram at Scrubby, and I tell your story, okay? I might make it a little more fun, but like, hey, I'll tell it, I'll do what I gotta do for the culture. Either way, boys, get your non-existent girlfriends and get ready to hold some hands, because I'm about to scare you so bad that you might actually die. But I'm not legally responsible if you do, because I'm kidding. If you're watching this in a courtroom, that's really awkward, because this was not my intention. So the person who sent me this story apparently lives near an abandoned motel, which is a very terrible place to live. If I was shopping for a house, even if it was in like Beverly Hills, let's say I was hypothetically a billionaire dropping 800 mil on a house, and they went, oh, by the way, there's a haunted motel right down the road. That would be a nope for me. But this person lived near a supposedly haunted motel. They said there was about 5 ghosts that allegedly lived there, one woman whose husband ran her over in the parking lot, all the scary stuff that they do to tell you that there's ghosts. And this person was going through one of those phases where they're a little edgy and like, nothing even matters anyway, so I'll go out to a haunted motel and I don't even care, bro. Like, so what? Ghosts get me, bro, because I'm dead on the inside and they're just straight up dead. Like, we're just bros. So they were going through one of those phases. So they would go at night and go into this motel. And this motel was super old. It wasn't shaped like as a box. I guess the way they described it is there was 2 floors on the motel, and then above the second floor was like an attic-y thing that when it operated was used as storage. And whatever, this person would go late at night, like 2, 3 in the morning, to this haunted motel and just listen to music and be edgy because, edgy teenagers do weird stuff. I'm not saying it's logical. I'm not saying it's the best idea. I personally, when I hear something's haunted, don't go, better challenge this. Better to have a demon haunting me than just not take my chances. I don't really know if I believe in ghosts. I've had a couple experiences that are pretty weird, but I don't know. But when I hear something is haunted, like when I hear there's 5 ghosts that want revenge on anyone who enters, I'm just not gonna go there at 3 in the morning because I'd rather not risk it, Scooby-Doo and the gang would have never gotten into so much trouble if they would have just stayed home and made YouTube videos. But no, they had to go out and challenge every ghost within an 18-mile radius to a boxing match like KSI versus Logan Paul. So whatever, this person's there, and one night they're there again, and their headphones that were wireless die because wireless headphones do that sometimes. So they pop those sweet little AirPods, those magnificent white pearly whites, inside of the charging case and close it. And that's when they start realizing that they're hearing noises in the attic, like something shuffling around, something moving, and then they hear like a blood-curdling girl scream from the attic, and then somebody telling them to shush, and then it goes silent, which, if you are in a haunted motel and this happens, run. Don't go investigate. Have you seen a horror movie? Every time someone in a horror movie goes to investigate, they never come back and go, it was nothing, guys. They never come back because they get yeeted on by a ghost who is literally sitting there going, you're actually dumb enough to fall for this, and then they nay-nay on you and steal your soul. Don't go investigate when you hear blood-curdling screams in a haunted motel. But the person who sent me the story for whatever reason is like, man, I better go get to the bottom of this mystery. Better to figure it out rather than just go home. No, you go home. And if you think that someone's in danger, you call the feds and you let them look into it. Because I'm not trying to fight a ghost. How do you even fight a ghost? What are you supposed to do? Kick it in the nads? It doesn't have nads. But now things start to get scary, and for the purpose of the story, my stupid jokes are going to stop for a small moment so I can build anxiety inside of you. That's not what she said. I'm gonna get to the story now. So they decide that they're gonna investigate, and I guess the attic doesn't really have like a super obvious access point, but they could tell that it's coming from above them, and they were in the bottom floor, so they go up to the second floor, and they're going in and out of all the rooms, and they don't find anything. And then they hear something that sounds like it's getting dragged across the top of the attic. Like above the second floor, they can hear it start in one end and just almost something heavy is getting dragged across the attic. And keep in mind, they heard a blood-curdling scream and somebody saying to shh so nobody hears, and then dragging. And they think that they have now witnessed arguably the worst crime to ever be committed. I feel like if you're a psychopath, taking your victims to a haunted motel definitely is a way to add like +5 style points to your bad guy curse. But they obviously are hearing these noises, and they're like, man, I need to investigate. Because I guess in this person's mind, when you hear screaming and then what sounds like a body getting dragged across the roof, you decide, better keep looking. So they're creeping in and out of all of these upper rooms, looking for a way into the attic or seeing if they can see anything or find anyone. And they are literally creeping because they don't want to get seen. The last thing that you want to happen is if you're like trying to solve a crime, the person committing the crime to know that you're there. So they're like creaking, and I guess the floorboards are super creaky, and they can hear once it gets dragged to the other end, like walking back and then more dragging. It's almost like somebody is dragging multiple things in the attic and then walking back and dragging it back. And you know, that's pretty spooky because you're like, dang, I heard one scream, but why has he dragged 3 things? Am I in a serial killer's master dungeon where instead of a refrigerator, he's just using the attic of the haunted motel to keep everyone? So they're creeping, and finally, and it's pitch black, by the way, it's dark at night. So imagine just creeping in and out of motel rooms all night trying to figure it out. And so they get to the end of the second floor, and it's the only motel room that has the door closed. Everything else is open. So they kind of have to decide, well, this is the only place left for them to either get into the attic or B, and I have to open the door. And this place is in disarray. It's not like the door hinges on this door or like, clean, everything's good, there's no noise, it's old, it's rusted. So they know if they open the door, it's gonna make a noise. And look, at this point, you've done your investigating. You've checked every room on the second floor. I would not risk opening the only room where, like, you know they can be. You are going to get axe murdered. I've seen enough horror movies to understand exactly how this is going to go. So they open the door, and surprisingly, it, like, creaks open, and they're looking in, and it's a pitch black motel room. They can see, like, the outline of the beds and the furniture, and they see that the dresser is pushed up against, like, a taller wardrobe, and above the taller wardrobe is a hole in the ceiling about the size of a person. Like, it looks like you can fit up there. And at this point, they're like, oh my God, there is somebody in the attic. Like, maybe I was just hearing things. Maybe it's a raccoon fighting somebody. I don't know. But they open this last door, and sure enough, there's a way into the attic. And it's not like a ladder. No, it is a sketchy hole in the ceiling from, like, water damage that is opened up just wide enough where you could squeeze your body in it if you really, really wanted to. And at this point, once again, I'm not going into the scary attic inside of the scary room with the scary hole that's covered in scary mold, and it's got scary stuff in it, 100%, you know? You're hearing bodies getting dragged along the roof. I'm not going in the pitch black attic through the tiny hole. You can try to get me in there. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna fit. That's what she said. But the person who sent me this story isn't a logical human being with any regard for their life, so they decided that they were going to go into the attic. So they climb on top of the dresser. They climb on top of the wardrobe, and they, like, put their head through the hole, and it is pitch black. It was already really dark inside the motel. You couldn't see much. You could make out the shapes of things. You can't see anything in the attic. Like, if you put your hand in front of your face, you still would not be able to see anything at all, which, once again, that's gonna be a nope from me, dog. I'm really, really okay. So they keep crawling into the attic, and at this point, they're in the attic with their phone flashlight, and they're looking around, and there's nothing. And this is the first time that they actually told me that they started to get scared because they were like, oh my God, think of the ghosts. Up until this point, they just thought somebody was in the attic, but then they're looking around the attic, and there's no one. There isn't like a body. There isn't, you know, a person standing there menacingly. It's empty, completely empty. And so, you know, they're freaking out, and they're like, oh no. So they start walking around the attic, which once again, Total note moment. That's the one thing people don't get about stories. Like, oh, why is my life boring? Because you're smart. You don't get good stories from like being a smart person and thinking things through. Every good story that I have is me being a moron, and that's what this is. Oh, creepy sounds and then no one's in the attic? Better keep looking. Why do you just go? Leave before you get eaten alive by like a monster. So they're looking around, and that's when they see it. They shine their flashlight into the corner of the attic, and they see eyes looking back, bruh. Human eyes. There is somebody's whole face surrounded in black clothing looking at them in the attic, and they freak out and are like, oh my god, because I get this, at this point they're realizing the danger they're in, like, hey genius, should have thought about this earlier. So they drop their phone and just scramble back towards the hole and like drop out. They create more of a hole because they're in such a rush that they like pull more of the roof down with them, and they start running. And he gets outside the like door thing. The person who sent me this gets outside the door of the motel room, and they hear wait. And so, for whatever reason, they wait, which is not... This person's gonna get kidnapped, bro. Like, I'm sorry. If you're watching this and you sent me this, it's nothing personal. You are going to get kidnapped. You don't wait after seeing someone's face in the dark attic after hearing dragging around. And then somebody else comes out the hole and has a flashlight in their hand, and they say, hey, you left your phone. And they give her her phone back, and she's like, oh, thank you. And then 2 people come out of the hole. So now there's 3 people standing there. And, you know, they're like, who are you? And so she starts explaining that she comes here to listen to music at night because of da-da-da-da-da. And then she goes, why are you guys here? And they're like, we're homeless. Like, the attic is just a nice place. Cops don't bug us. You know, we can just stay there. And the person's like, I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that would be why you're in the attic being all weird. And they're like, yeah, I'm so sorry. We didn't mean to scare you. We didn't know you were here. We would have been quieter. What a weird thing to say, by the way. Oh, sorry that, you know, my living in the attic since I'm homeless was keeping you up late at night while you were walking around with your AirPods listening to music. My bad. And they were apologizing to her like, oh, we're so sorry. And so the person who sent me this is like, no, don't worry about it. Like, it's okay. I'm so sorry. I'm so glad that, you know, you guys aren't crazy people in the attic. And then they remember the dragging, and they're like, oh, what was the dragging? And they're like, oh yeah, our stuff's really heavy, so we just like dragged it up there because we didn't want to carry it. And they're like, oh, I guess that makes sense. And, yeah, moral of the story is homeless people were living in the attic of the haunted motel, which probably was the ghost that all the kids believed in. Either way, I'm just saying, I could have gone without figuring out that there's homeless people in the attic. I probably would have just never gone to the haunted motel in the first place. But moral of the story is if you hear something terrifying, go investigate, because you'll probably get a good story and then be featured on the channel. Don't go do that. That is terrible advice. I'm not being serious. I'm kidding. Please do not put yourself in danger at all. Like, please do not. But, yeah, that's gonna do it for the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of the video and turn on those notifications. Today's notification shout out goes to the very awesome, fantastic Alex Ludzik 06. You guys' last names are tripping me up. If you want a notification shout out, just send me proof of your notifications onto my Instagram at Scrubby. And on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'm gonna go investigate my attic now, and I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.